And sometimes you might find this referred to as Girls' Day. This is a day where we celebrate girls and especially their love of dolls. And the biggest centerpiece of the whole celebration are really the Hina dolls that are put on display. And these can be varying in size and shape and value, from little itty bitty things to super big things. But that's the big central point of this holiday. Now, it's meant to be also, a chance an excuse to buy presents for kids, of course, because, toy companies want to sell things. So they try to encourage you to buy a gift for somebody if you know them. It's not required, but, a lot of grandparents or parents will feel compelled to buy a gift at this time. But it is a really fun holiday, and it really is only for girls. You don't see guys getting anything on this day. It kind of sucks for them, but they don't get to get a present. They get to enjoy the food and celebrations of the holiday, but that's about it. So it's really for girls, and oddly enough, it's not recognized as a national holiday. So there's still school. The banks are open. On the flip side, in May, we have Kids' Day, which is a national holiday, and, banks are closed and there is no school, and that's actually it's a little deceiving because it's called Kids' Day, but it's really only for boys, or it used to be, and it's really been in the last, 15 or 20 years that it's changed and has started to be for girls too, and again, that's only because toy companies want to sell more toys, so they said, yeah, let's make it for everybody. But I'll talk more about Kids' Day in May. But so for Hina Matsuri, like I said, the Hina dolls are the central point, of course. And I know there are lots of Hina celebrations all over the world. And so you might get a chance to see these dolls up close. They're beautiful. The real actual Hina dolls are, exquisitely made. They have porcelain faces, beautiful detailing. The kimonos that they wear are silk kimonos, very beautifully detailed and made. So it's not usually just sort of like a cheap Barbie doll kind of purchase. It's an elaborate purchase. Now, like I said, there's all different kinds of shapes and sizes. Now, I have, for example, these two here. And these are just a display that I purchased to have in my entryway for Hina Matsuri. And they're actually bells. And, something like this is like $20 maybe. Not too much. Not too bad of a price. You can even get little itty bitty kind of tiny ones. I don't know if I could show you guys. They're so small. They look like little nuts. And these come in a cute little box that has, the display all ready for you to put it out. You just put this with a little red felt and then you're good to go. So it's kind of cute little way to display things. Those are like $5 or something. It's not much at all. That's the very simple basic end of things. You can buy these kinds of ceramic made dolls that are hand painted. Sometimes they'll have a little bit of a kimono fabric wrapped around them, those kinds of things. And they're very inexpensive. But if you're actually looking for a real Hina doll, they do jump significantly in price. The cheapest real Hina doll that you could probably get would maybe be $150. Probably more close to $200. We have one that we were given as a gift for my daughter when she was born, and this, to kind of give you guys an idea, I'll try not to drop it, right? This is kind of an example of, like I said, this simpler kind of version of a Hina doll. And in this case, it's just her by herself, and in this instance, she's actually gathering water, which is kind of a good representation for Nagasaki being a port city. So that's the reason why we got her. And she's, got lots of layers of elaborate dress, very beautiful stylized kimono, and the little bit of branch there of either cherry blossom or plum blossom, depending on all the things that are going on. Usually, the plum blossoms are actually in bloom earlier than the cherry blossoms, so that's usually what that is. They're confusing because they look very similar. But, and sometimes they're both. It really depends. So this is one way you can get stuff. And she comes in a really nice case. You don't take her out. You just leave her like this, put her on display. We put her in our entryway, but you can also, if you happen to have a place to display in your house, you can put them out. Most homes in Japan have been very westernized, and so they don't have, you get the image that everything is sliding doors and tatami mats, but it's not actually. It's all westernized, wood floors, linoleum in the kitchen, that kind of thing, and It's maybe, if you're lucky, your house has one room that still has tatami and has a sliding door. And usually in those rooms, there's a little like kind of enclave that's for display purposes, and that's where you hang scrolls and you put displays like Hina dolls and such. So if a person happens to have that kind of a room, that's where you'd find them. But like I said, that kind of a doll that you just saw there, that's like about $200. If you want to get the real Hina doll, where it's the emperor and the empress together, and that's the most simplest, basic design, setup that you can get. Those are usually between $300 and $500, depending on the kind of quality that you get. They can be even much more, depending on who makes them and the size. But then they don't really actually get so much bigger in terms of doll size. What happens is the tiers or the levels of the display grow. Like I said, at the very base, there's the emperor and the empress. The next level would be to have the emperor and the empress, and then the empress's 3 attending women that follow her. So that would be like the next step of a display. And then you can leap up into having 3, 5, and all the way up to a 7-tiered display, which includes musicians and samurai to kind of guard everybody as they walk around, priests, those kinds of things. Those are all the different dolls that come along with the display. And then there's also little tiny floral arrangements, lanterns, other kinds of things that are all part of the display too. It's very elaborate, and knowing the right placement of everything can be really tricky. A lot of people have to, look at directions when they set things out because they don't know what they're doing. Nobody knows who this is or what this person means. Most people don't even know anymore. But the really elaborate displays are very beautiful, and they're almost, depending on how they're set up, they're, almost not quite as tall as I am, depending on how big and how they're displayed. So obviously you need a bit of room to have those on display in your house. And like I said, those are actually incredibly expensive. $1,000, $2,000, you can spend a fortune on those. And these dolls are usually given as a gift by grandparents to the firstborn daughter. Sadly, they don't give anything to the second-born or the third or the fourth. It's just usually to the first. And that becomes that daughter's item when she grows up. She's allowed to take that with her when she leaves the home. So it's kind of a old thinking. Since I have 2 daughters, I'm like, wait, what about my younger one? That's not fair. But we, that's just the way things are here. They focus more on the oldest kids first. So, but if you have a grandparent who's going to buy that, then that's something that you have in your house. We don't have one in ours. I personally didn't think it was necessary use of money. I thought you could just save the money for college instead. So that's what we did. But like I said, we got that one that I showed you from a friend when our daughter was born. And it's a fun kind of time of year to be able to have the displays out. I buy occasionally little smaller ones, and I make my origami ones too. So if you want to know more about all the different layers and the tiers and all the people that are in the display, I've made all of those on my channel, on my origami channel, if you want to check that out. But it's a really kind of fun time of year. So, and the dolls are beautiful. They're very tempting. You want to pick them up. You're not allowed to touch them. No, nobody touches them ever. So that was another reason I didn't get them, because I thought that's just so cruel. You have these beautiful dolls here and nobody can play with them. So we make a tradition of getting dolls that you can play with every year. That's kind of the thing we do. So, but it's kind of like Christmas decorations. If you have really beautiful ones, you don't want your kids playing with them. Every year my children wind up playing with every single ornament on my tree, so I've kind of given in to it. But I know some people, don't want anybody to touch stuff. So I'll be curious what everybody thinks about, these kinds of holidays where you have something on display and it's supposed to be honoring kids, and it is not kid-friendly at all. That's how Hina Matsuri is. So yeah, if you guys have, any comments or questions about, displays you've had a chance to see, I know there's some beautiful displays sometimes, especially when the cherry blossoms are in bloom in America, especially in Washington, D.C. When we lived there, we got a chance to see that, and it was beautiful. So yeah, anything you guys might have any comments or questions on, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below.